Hello! Thank you for coming to visit today. I've asked you here to talk about something uncomfortable. Now, some of you might feel uncomfortable just hearing the word uncomfortable, and that's okay. But we need to talk about plagiarism. Yes, plagiarism and its consequences. Now, what is plagiarism? Some of you might be asking yourselves. Well, the short version is that plagiarism is any time you use someone else's words or ideas without giving them proper credit. And it's a big deal. Generally, there are two types of plagiarism students commit: unintentional and intentional. Unintentional plagiarism often occurs when a student fails to cite correctly someone else's words or ideas. This type of plagiarism is usually a mistake. Unintentional plagiarism is often resolved simply by practicing citing correctly. A good style guide, like a writer's reference, can help. Intentional plagiarism is when a student tries to pass off someone else's words or ideas as their own. This is stealing, and it can have serious consequences. Let's take a look at some real-life consequences. Former Montana Senator John Walsh's school took away his master's degree because he intentionally plagiarized a paper. There's also Senator Rand Paul, who must explain how parts of a Wikipedia entry made it into one of his speeches. I mean, come on, Wikipedia. Also, think how poet Helen Mort must have felt when someone stole her poem and tried to win a prize for it. Don't steal words. Give credit where credit is due. But don't take my word for it. Let's ask the experts at Northwest College. Would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Dr. Dare.
So my name is Milo Acey, and I teach in the humanities department. I teach English as a second language, and then I also teach English, and then I also teach Japanese and U.S. culture and yoga.
My name is Rachel Hannon, and I teach English here at Northwest College. This is my 4th year here at Northwest College, and I used to teach at the University of Oregon before coming here. Go Ducks!
My name is Lauren Perry, and I am an instructor here at Northwest College in English.
Well, and why should we believe anything that you say today?
Well, I wouldn't if I were you. That's all I have to say. I don't know anything.
You should believe me because I'm really good at Googling, so I have lots of experience catching plagiarists.
I have power over your grade. I've been teaching this is my 11th year teaching writing, but also plagiarism is something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about because I've done a number of research projects like my dissertation. So I've had to write really big things and think about how not to plagiarize, but still use the really great ideas that other people have.
Well, to warm this up, we're going to do a little word association game. So
Okay.
I'm going to give you words, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Apple.
Jacks.
Bird.
Osprey.
Scissor.
Cut.
Apple.
Orange.
Plagiarism.
A paper.
Plagiarism.
Red hot death.
Plagiarism.
Pedophiles.
Plagiarism.
Cheater.
What is your class policy regarding plagiarism?
My class policy regarding plagiarism is that students who have demonstrated academic dishonesty or plagiarism are failed from the class. And if it's something that is repeated, it's something I would refer to the dean and ask the dean to expel the student.
I don't tolerate it. You will fail.
Is that first go around?
Second time.
Okay. Second time fails the whole class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with the international students, my class policy might be a little bit different than other people because they are learning something culturally different. And so, of course, at the beginning of the course, I give them a plagiarism spiel again and again. And then what happens is I always get a plagiarized paper. And so I'm actually very patient with it, and I tell them, you know, if once you get a little bit higher in the education department here, you're going to have a lot of problems if you keep plagiarizing. So I try to tell them over and over again, no plagiarizing. And then also I try to explain what plagiarism is. And so I go into great detail about what plagiarism is.
My class policy is that when I first catch someone plagiarizing, they get an immediate F on the assignments, and get warned that I might fail them in the class if I ever have any feeling that they are doing it again.
And last, why should students avoid plagiarism?
Because you're not doing your own work, and you waste my time, and I have power over your grade.
But plagiarism, because, when we're here at the college or when we're starting to learn and we're starting to educate ourselves, the mind is extremely important. And so what happens is that you start to open up the mind when you start discovering education. And so if you are just following somebody else's thought patterns, you are not trusting in yourself. And so actually when you leave somebody else's thoughts behind and you start questioning yourself and interpreting the world according to how you feel and then trusting yourself, then that's a great experience. And so that's why it's so important to leave plagiarism behind, because if you're plagiarizing, what you're actually doing is you are writing to please the teacher. And so you think, okay, this is going to please the teacher. In reality, the teacher can catch on very quickly if it's been plagiarized or not.
Students should avoid plagiarism mostly because there's never anything to benefit from. So even if they don't get caught a few times, not only are they risking getting caught, but it's horribly embarrassing, makes them look terrible to their professors, and then it's really demoralizing. It's better to just get a 0 or produce something low quality than to plagiarize.
There's a lot of different reasons for plagiarism, and so I think it's important to think about that. Some students plagiarize because they don't have confidence in their own ideas. Some students plagiarize because they come from cultures where our own ideas are not as important as the ideas of people who've come before. But I think the kind of plagiarism you and I are talking about is a plagiarism that indicates laziness, right? So, and that's why when I think of plagiarism, I think of pedophilia. So I'm thinking of two different groups of people who try to make themselves look really a lot better on the outside in order to achieve unethical means. And, the way that I think about it is students who respect themselves and respect their teachers and respect the process of education. We're here to learn. They are unlikely to plagiarize because they wouldn't be achieving the whole goal of college, which is to learn and to improve ourselves.
Sure. Well, it's funny you should ask, Ms. Koelling. I happen to have a manuscript here that I wrote on plagiarism. Let me begin this way by explaining. In the 1st century, the use of the Latin word plagiarius, literally kidnapped, to denote stealing someone else's work was pioneered by the Roman poet Martial, or Martial, depending on how you'd like to pronounce it, who complained that another poet had kidnapped his verses, unquote. The derived from plagiarism was introduced in English around 1620.
So to summarize,
plagiarism is not so much a legal crime. It is an ethical crime. A crime against humanity, quite frankly. A crime against the spoken word, the written word, an image. A crime against one's neighbor, in that one steals what someone else has done the scholarship or has done the work or has done some sort of investigation or investment in a certain value or something that they value.
there you have it. Intentional plagiarism is unethical. You aren't learning anything, and usually it doesn't work the way you think it will. So remember, get it right, cite, every time. This public service announcement has been brought to you by the English Department at Northwest College. All right, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll take that.
Terrible answer.
Nest.
That's all I have to say. I don't know anything.